Hey everybody, welcome to the DBS Films Podcast. My name is Kellen. With me as always is my brother Brennan. Together we make movies with DBS Films. Today's episode, we are going into how to successfully launch your indie movie. Part 2. In this episode, we're going to talk to you all about what it's like to have a movie launch, what you should be doing the day of and the few days before to get prepared, ready to go, and to ensure you have yourself a very successful launch. As always, be sure to take a look at our Discord channel online. That's a place to be because we make movies for our fans with our fans. So if you ever want to be part of the action and part of the fun, all you got to do, download Discord, click one of the many links we have there, join our DBS community, and you will have the opportunity to audition for each and every one of our movies. So that being said, it is now the day. It is ready. One thing is sometimes you don't actually know the actual day, depending on the distribution. Sometimes it might be something that sneaks up on you a little bit and it goes live on different platforms. So you kind of have to be ready. But I think the first place I really want to talk about is how critical that first 72 hours is. Algorithms are very powerful and they rule the world now, especially when it comes to the content and media streams. And really, when your movie is new, they actually go ahead and want it to basically be proven. So they put it out there for you. They usually try and push those things for you. We see a big 30-day fall off is kind of the big one, but that first 48 to 72 is super critical in kind of getting the wheels moving. So do you want to kind of talk about the whole time frame and why those first 72 hours are very critical and why basically after a month you can almost kiss your movie goodbye on some of the major platforms?
Yeah, so 72 hours is important because you have a fresh audience as far as anyone in your community is going to download this movie. So you're going to download it right away. Friends and family are going to download it right away. Actors are going to download it right away. When you start ads, the first 72 hours are the cheapest because you're reaching a new audience, people who have never seen this movie before that are excited about it. It's a new release. Amazon's promoting it. They're putting it right at the top because everyone starts at the top. And then after 72 hours, Amazon's like, all right, let's look at the last 3 days. Which movies are, being clicked on the most, downloaded the most, being watched the most. Let's give those more exposure because Amazon, they're in the game to make money. Amazon wants to make just as much money because they get 50% of all your sales. So they're going to push the movies that are getting watched, that are getting clicked on. They're going to give it more visibility. So like, all right, let's increase the exposure and see how it does. If your movie is not getting clicked on, if people are not watching it all the way through, Amazon's gonna be like, all right, there's something wrong with this movie. Maybe something's a little bit off, or maybe it's not as high quality as the other ones, or doesn't have a built-in audience. They're gonna penalize that movie. They're gonna give somebody else a chance. And this is not just Amazon, this is how all the algorithms work. So Amazon's important, but really Tubi is probably the biggest one because that is all pretty much organic traffic. The benefit of being on Tubi is that you can be in front of 5 to 10 million people really, really quickly. And if you are kind of falling off or something's wrong with your movie, it's boom or bust. I've seen movies on Tubi that make 6 figures a month, and I've seen movies on Tubi that make $100 a month. And so you have to kind of figure out like where you're at in that pecking order, and you have to be able to ride the algorithm. And the way to do that is to have really good cover, really good blurb, really good trailer, and make sure you are marketing your movie. The first 72 hours is so crucial that, you just cannot afford to wait. If you wait to get your audience going, you're just going to be fighting an uphill battle because after 30 to 60 days, really your visibility cuts in half after 30 days. And after 60 days, you're completely off the hot new releases. And when that happens, you're just down there with everybody else. Amazon's not going to promote you. Tubi's not going to promote you. It's just pretty much organic or leftover traffic. And for, our stuff, really after 60 days, I've really cut back on the marketing and I'm focused on the next movie. This one had, a 60-day life cycle. Now they still make their small amount of money on the back end. YouTube for the Murder House has held up very well, which I'm very happy with, but the rest of the platforms has dropped like a rock. And it's just better for me to focus on a new movie, give that the marketing budget as opposed to try and really, crank this one and keep it up in the charts, where once again we release a new movie, we're going to have the benefit of the hot new releases and the best new movies on Amazon Tubi.
Exactly that. I mean, really, It's basically catching a wave. You know, the algorithm wave is coming, and if you give yourself enough paddles when it comes to just your marketing efforts, you can go ahead and ride that wave. And I mean, I think the Amazon Haunting the Murder House proved it. You know, it really was the case where we were able to hijack that algorithm, get to #1 for the new releases and #15 for overall horror. So you have to be ready to go ahead and push all of your efforts there. I think the main one that you were kind of talking about that I want to hop right into is getting your community ready. We've talked about this all the time. You really, 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 really need to focus on creating and cultivating a community. It is something that is super critical nowadays more than anything, because if you have a community, then that means every single time you make a movie, you have that built-in level to it. And I would say we're very curious to see the success and the results from The Forest of Death versus Haunting the Murder House, because I was taking a look. We had just under 8,000 Discord members when we were doing the Haunting the Murder House. And this is, 8,000 people on our Discord. And on top of that, we had about like maybe 150,000 followers on TikTok. So, we've basically tripled the Discord size and then doubled the TikTok size of like following. So we have been growing our community. That being said, our Discord community is very active considering, normal following of like social media. So we really have the team ready to go when it comes to pushing that. But this is just, again, what we go back to in the sense of you want to be trying to build your community and building your audience, building email lists, having people on social media that are following you. You really want to get them ready. We have a little countdown going. We make multiple posts. I just released about the DVD. So you should be building your hype train. You should really be building this hype train as much as you possibly can, getting people ready to go, because here's the most critical thing that you need. The best thing that you can feed the algorithm is someone that will rent your movie, that will watch the whole thing, and that will leave a review. And the more people that you can guarantee will do that based on this being part of your community and part of your fandom, the better chances you have. Each time someone does that, it's almost like worth like 10 or 15 or 20 organic watches, because it adds so much positive feedback to the algorithm loop that's really just going to push you forward. So you want to talk about how, again, just that community element is critical. Beg your friends, beg your family, like, be like, hey, I'll give you a cup of coffee or something like that. Again, this is just something where try to really use your network as much as you can. And this is hard at first. If it's your first movie, there's not really a community for you. We didn't really get a community until after Growing Cabin 13. And even that being said, I'm basically doing 2 to 3 hours of TikTok lives a day to keep fostering that on top of the multiple events we do. So it's not like it's the easiest thing, but it is one of the best ways to guarantee success.
Yeah, I mean, it's super critical. You need as many downloads as possible in the 48 hours, 72 hours that you can. And, we're very grateful for the fan base that we've been able to create, because they're going to help us move up the charts. They're going to help us keep this thing and give it the visibility that it means. But honestly, the $3 to $4 that you're going to have someone pay for one of these movies is going to come back maybe 10, 15 fold. When I looked at the Murder House, I think each $3 rental came back to almost $50 to $100. So that's a really good ROI for us, because with each click, you move up the algorithm, you increase your visibility, and people can be seen. And this scales all the way up. The more downloads you get, the higher visibility, and the more downloads you get from the algorithm. The difference from the #1 spot to the 100 spot could be, maybe the 100 spot gets 50 to 100 downloads a day, and the #1 spot gets 10, 50,000, I don't know, 100,000. We've never been that high, so I don't know, but it's exponential. And so each little download, every little download means so much, is so valuable, that you really got to scratch and claw and figure out whatever you need to do, whether it's paid advertising, whether it's organics advertising, whether it's just, cultivating community. It is so important to get every single little download you possibly can, because each one, even if it's just one download, is so crucial to getting visibility. And all this stuff adds up, all the little stuff adds up. But once again, you got to start this stuff. You got to start the little stuff, 90 days out before your launch to get everything going. Cannot wait till the last minute, or you're just not going to get the visibility you need to be successful.
Yeah, it really is the case. I mean, this is, you got to scramble, you got to fight for each and every one of those. And, it's something we see a lot in the indie film industry. A lot of people be like, oh, I kind of sick of advertising. I'm sick of marketing. I don't really want to spam everyone. I got 30 clips ready to go for Forest of Death. And, you're going to see them within 30-minute intervals of themselves within the first 40 or first 24 hours, in the sense of, we are going to push this movie hard. This is your one shot. There's no such thing as over marketing. There is not. And again, every single time that you push this, you might find a new person to watch this movie, and that person can add on to the community. That is the beautiful thing about, making multiple movies, is it does stack up. And, we find ourselves in the most powerful position I'd say we've been in, because we have our biggest community now. But with our next movie, community is going to be even bigger. It's going to be even more. So this is something you really need to focus on. So you have the organic element and you have that community. As we mentioned, not the easiest thing. Lean on your actors, lean on your family, lean on your friends at first. And then as you continue to make movies, people that will naturally watch it have an area for it. I always recommend having a Discord now. That app is absolutely beautiful when it comes to organizing and keeping up to date and doing all of those things. Email lists are typically a very big one, especially if you've done any kind of crowdfunding. That's something you want to get rolling. So there's just a lot of different elements that you can do to kind of try and build a community. But the more you can add to that, it's a free, organic, built-in just way to ride that algorithm. So do not sleep on building that community. Even if it is your first movie, use this as a stepping stone to make sure the launch for your second movie is even easier. So that being said, one big one that we always talk about is paid ads. And this goes back to the split testing. If you have the best split tested cover, the best split tested trailer, the best split tested blurb, well, guess what? You're paying sometimes 1/40th, 1/50th of what a poor cover, poor title, poor blurb has in the ad spend. And usually what we end up doing is really kind of pumping that spend in the beginning. Why is that? To have the algorithm. I would say 100% look into having those Facebook ads, because the ads are very targeted. They understand the community they're looking for. And typically this is the customer that you're looking for when it comes to the horror movies that you have. So, what is kind of the thought process when we're rolling out the paid side of things? And, what are your recommendations for it? Because, this is usually something that I see someone will maybe put a post up and then boost it. And that's just almost kind of throwing money into the furnace for you.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is you got to have your ducks in a row, way before launch. Like, I'm right about to start the Into the Forest split test now, and we're probably not going to get a launch on this one until early May, maybe at the earliest, depending on which distribution we go with. It's just like, it's going to be far. So already we're putting the work in for this launch, for this product. When I first start to test ads, they will be 30 to 40 cents a click. And that's, not acceptable on my terms. But after I hone and work with them and spend a couple weeks finding a good blurb, a good cover, a good title, it can go down to 3 to 4 cents a click. So now you're looking at, someone, an indie filmmaker who is not split testing, doing anything, is paying 30 cents a click, and I'm paying 3 cents a click. I'm 10 times better than them, and I'm driving 10 times as much traffic to our movies as they are. So their movie has to be 10 times better than mine, or they have to essentially have 10 times as big of an audience than mine, which they don't, because we have a massive Discord community, to even compete against me. So right out the gate, they're already in trouble. And if you're not doing this kind of stuff, if you're not split testing, if you're not optimizing, I'm going to take your lunch. And that's just what we're going to do. And we're going to go after and take the lunch of these bigger studios, because some of them don't even do this stuff. And they just are like, hey, I'm going to put $10 million on this movie for marketing, and I'll pay $2, $3 a click to just whoever wants to click on this thing. And I will come in there and we will take their spots. We will have the algorithm favor us. We did it last time. We're going to do it again this time. It's just a numbers game. If you're working on a indie budget, I could literally take your advertising budget and work on it. If I have 1/10 the advertising budget you do, we have the same advertising budget. So just kind of let that sink in. We do 30 to 60 days worth of work, and I am 10 times better than you. and we will catch up to you, and we will push this algorithm, and we will take your lunch.
There's a beast lurking in the moat, and it is DBS Films. But I mean, it's true. It really is. Our ads are optimized. This comes from our marketing background. This is what we do. This is our advantage that we've had, and we've had to, on the other end, stumble face first into making movies and exploding those landmines. But now that we're catching up with that, we're becoming more lethal with it. And you have to have the same approach too. The cheaper you get your ads, the more effective they are. And our ads are very effective. They are brutally effective. And, just like my brother was saying, we will take your lunch. We will take everything, because you got to fight for every single penny there. This is a tight bandwidth. My apologies to any other indie film that releases with us, because you're going up against a behemoth now, and we want you to get to that same level too. That's the big thing. We want every single person listening to this that's making indie films to have this power, because this is what you got to do. You got to be scrappy when you don't have millions of dollars to just burn with the Hollywood budget. So I think it's a very simple process to split test. You can take a look at different YouTube videos of how you do it. You just change out the assets. You can do it on a very micro budget. This is something you can learn very, very easily. Do not think you need any kind of marketing background or anything like this. Facebook, they've made it very easy to take your money. So just kind of take a look at things out there. Make sure you get as much split testing as possible. But even if you don't go through the rigorous, 30-day gauntlet that we do, even split testing 5 things, the difference between the best performing one and the worst performing one of 5 different things you have could be 2 or 3x. So it's really something to look into. Now, I think one thing that we do want to highlight, and this is really the biggest way that we kind of track how successful the movie is: reviews. So, obviously you're getting reviews flowing in. Ideally, you're getting people in your community to basically go ahead and push them through, and you're seeing them stack up. But we always say this: good review, bad review, amazing, fantastic. Only thing that's bad is no reviews. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for any kind of feedback on my film. 100%. Good reviews are good, bad reviews are good. As long as people are engaging with the movie, it's a very good sign, because no reviews to me mean that someone didn't watch your movie all the way through. If they give you a 1 star and it's the worst 1 star ever, where they're saying this is, this was made by high school kids on a shoestring budget, that's good news, because not only did you make them watch it all the way through, but you got them so upset about the movie that they left a 1 star. It's very hard to leave reviews on Amazon, because you're usually watching it through the Fire Stick or some kind of thing where, you don't have a keyboard. So if you get someone to leave a review, they either really, really liked your movie or really hated it, but that's fine. Polarizing movies are good. You want that engagement. I always look at the negative reviews and try and see what I could fix. A lot of the reviews are just, they're just kind of mean. People are jealous about the acting and, the fact that people are making movies on indie level stuff. They just think that everything's garbage. And I kind of just, you're like, all right, like, I got your $3. Sorry that I couldn't make a better movie. And I kind of block those ones out. But the ones who are like, hey, like, the sound could have been better here, or you should have done this, or I didn't like this scene, that's all very valuable feedback. But I see a lot of indie movies with 3 or 4 reviews, and the best way to see how well an indie movie does outside of the charts is to take a look at the reviews. How many people are leaving reviews? And that pretty much will tell you your watch through rate, because we really don't get a lot of data from Amazon. If you work at a distribution company, you're not going to get any data at all. So you kind of have to figure this stuff out. You got to back into it. So I look at, where it's ranking the charts, and then to figure out the watch through rate, I look at how many reviews we get, and go look at all our stuff. Murder House has by far the best amount, or the most amount of reviews. I think we're up to, 350 or so on Amazon Prime, which is very, very good. YouTube has an absolute ton of reviews. And then like sites like Letterboxd and like IMDb, although IMDb, I'm not a huge fan of them. Will you'll see all the reviews and the feedback that you're getting, and that's a good sign. If people are not engaging and interacting with your movie, then you got a problem with watch through, and it's in your best interest to kind of figure out where people are falling off, or what was the major flaw in that movie, so you don't repeat that.
Yeah, I mean, that really is the case. And I would say my big understanding for reviews is most people never ever watch a, under $1 million movie nowadays. And I mean, this is a big disconnect. If you don't understand the indie value in the sense of like, okay, this is clearly an indie movie and you can't put that lens on, you're naturally going to be turned off with it. And here's the thing. Our cover, our trailer, and everything screams $1 million movie. So I can understand almost kind of that feeling that you typically get. So as an indie filmmaker, take that with a badge of confidence because that means, yeah, someone was engaged the entire time. What's worse is someone watching 5 minutes, turning it off, and not leaving a review. That's when you got your issues. So love those. Also, I love Letterboxd because you can comment back. So that is a tip for any indie filmmaker. If anyone ever leaves a review, man, I love responding to 1 stars and just thanking them. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all of that stuff. And I will honestly say I've won a few people over because they see that, they understand that. So I think that's something to understand with reviews. Understand that each and every one that you get is a really good thing. But those 2, 3, 4 stars are typically where you get the best information. What people typically like, what people don't like, you get those trends. But more importantly, those reviews come in. That just means the engine's moving forward. That means you're getting these things happening. That means you're going ahead and having things work for it. So, really when it comes to, kind of that launch thing, I think one thing that we do that, I find it's personally pretty effective. I'm sure some people, I think some of our actors have kind of mentioned it. I can't remember really who specifically. I think maybe some of the community, but I have like 30 clips of the movie basically spliced up that we're going to release as reels in TikTok trailers. And essentially it's just little bits of the action parts, some little bit of spoilers potentially there. But the idea is you want to get as many eyeballs watching on it as possible. So yeah, if you like go through and watch each one of our little trailers, could you piece together something? Possibly. But in my opinion, I'm curious if you share that opinion. Just having all of those little small segments out there. I mean, between TikTok with our followers, we're going to have 100, 300,000 eyeballs on that when it comes to seeing it. And it really is something that you just want to create this overall push of this is the content. This is what it's looking for. These are the action points there, because still, if someone sees a little bit of it, that's going to make it more inclined that they've even heard of it. Then they could get retargeting, all these little benefits that come from it. So I would say err on, not having an issue with not just having the trailer, but having little mini clips, pushing those things, using Instagram reels, using Twitter. I mean, the first day we're going to post 30 times about it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I always think it's kind of weird when indie filmmakers are worried about spoilers. I think maybe for like cinematic and theatrical releases where people can actually steal the stuff and, spoiler like a whole bunch of people, it might be a little bit of bigger of an issue. But for us, like, go look at our trailers. You can pretty much piece the movie together. Even big Hollywood movies will have a lot of spoilers in their trailer because they know it works. People need to know what they're going to get before they get it. That's just basic 101. And I do not care about actors, posting images. I say, like, look, don't like completely spoil if we have a twist ending in there. Use your best discretion, but I really don't care. Go ahead and post as much as you want to post. We're going to post a lot of stuff. And yes, if you're sitting there watching all these TikToks and all this footage and stuff, you're going to have a good idea of how the movie turns out and what's going to happen. But what's really going to happen is that if you're that interested in the movie to watch all these clips, you're going to just watch the movie. And that's just basically it. The whole goal is one of these 30 clips that we're going to post, one of them catches your attention enough to click and purchase the movie. Or maybe you figure it out on TikTok and you're like, oh, I know what happened, but let me just double check. Man, that's a win. I'll take it. So I'm not worried about spoilers. I think you got to lean into it. If you're an indie filmmaker, you got to get as much content out there. The content has to be engaging and it has to be, it's got to make you curious. And that, I think, is a lot of the issues with indie trailers is they're just kind of boring, they're flat, and they hide the best stuff of the movie, where we just kind of show it out. We give us the best scenes, the best acting, the best cinematography possible. We lean into that, even if it is full of spoilers.
I mean, it's exactly that. The spoilers are the good moments, so that's why you're going to see them. So the last thing I really want to kind of mention, and I think this goes one, it's a good example of how critical a launch is for any indie film studio. But then I want to really relate it to the Forest of Death as that's coming up. And I mean, these are make or break for the rest of the productions in the sense that, we currently have we have two movies in post-production. So we're able to turn The Haunted of the Murder House basically into two additional movies based on the launch and the success of that. Now we have The Forest of Death, and we're looking at making three more movies this year. So we're going to have, our Bigfoot project coming up in May, and the success of Forest of Death literally is going to change the trajectory of DBS. And it's these critical moments of the release that our community can really affect. So, this is more kind of targeted to our community, but also with the element of, this is how you make more movies, is having a successful launch. And the difference between The Forest of Death being 15th in horror, being 10th in horror, being 5th in horror can literally be us casting 1 to 4 times as many roles. And the reason for that is because when you do get the traction, much like going viral on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, the results are exponential. So, really it's something where the more we can get driven from our community, the more that we can get to basically ride that organic wave, the more it's really going to just shave off years when it comes to the development of DBS films. But this is also the same case for any indie filmmaker out there. So do you want to just kind of stress just how important it is? Because in filmmaking, we made this movie last year in May. So basically we're coming up on close to, 10 months of getting it released. And that's 10 months without making any revenue off of something you've already kind of put into the process. So the effort that we all go through, the effort that we put in here, the effort that our community puts in here is really going to shape the rest of the year for DBS.
Yeah, this movie's going to decide how the rest of this year is going to go. It takes 6 months after the launch to really get any kind of money back. So the success of this launch is going to determine essentially how big our movies are going to be in November and December. We're going to shoot one movie during that time. And the difference between, having maybe 10, 20 Discord members and having 50 Discord members in our movies comes down to how well this movie can get launched. If it comes in here and goes up the charts, we can scale up our entire production. We can bring on more people. We can make cooler movies. We can do a lot of really cool stuff. But on the flip side, if it just doesn't work very well, if we can't get a response to it, then we're going to have to pivot to, all right, how well does the Roger Project do? We're going to need the Roger Project to fund stuff, but now we're waiting even more. If we miss on this one, we may not be able to really scale up, to really get good, to get, the production that we really want to get to, the level of the company that we want to get to, until June of next year if we miss on this one. So I'm sweating, I'm nervous, because if you miss on one of these movies as an indie studio, it's not going to sink us. We're going to keep making movies, but we're not going to get that jump in quality. We're not going to get that jump in having Discord actors come on. We're not going to be able to make a zombie movie. You hear me talk about zombie movies all the time. If this one takes off, if it does really, really well, we can start to do some really cool stuff, not only in the movies, but to reward our community as well. We start doing in-person fan events, flying a lot of people out. To give you an example, I spent $6,000 of my personal money flying Discord fans out to be actors in the last movie. And I want to double, I want to triple that. And I can do it if we can get a really good launch with the Shapeshifter, because I believe in this business model. I believe in this process as much as possible, but we really need everyone's support. Every $3 download helps us out so much. We probably see it come back 30 times, 60 times, 90 times back as far as future revenue. And that's just really what we want to do. We want to really scale up. We really want to get everybody involved in these movies. And we just need your help. We don't really do Kickstarters outside of merch. We don't ask for a lot of money, but I'm just asking you, just don't get Starbucks for one day and just download Forest of Death. Like, I'd really appreciate that stuff. You're supporting indie horror. You're supporting indie filmmakers. This is our passion. This is our drive. We're not doing it full time. Just please help us out. Give us the $3. I sound like Bernie Sanders, but I mean, we want to get it done. This is what we want to do. And we have such cool ideas. We have such a cool community. We really just want to be able to get this thing to take off. And we just need a little bit of help, a little bit of momentum. And if I can get this thing going, if we can get this thing going up the charts, I am not going to squander this opportunity. We are ready to go. We are ready to put in the work, and we are ready to move up these charts and become a real big boy production company.
That's right. DBS is growing up. But here's the big thing that I kind of want to end on with this is, it's not only that, yes, the success will lead to the additional roles when it comes to the movies we're rolling out now. Yes, that will be great. Yes, we'll have super fan events, all the things that are kind of very tactical now. But I think the biggest overall thing is it proved the model. It proves the model that you can make movies for your fan with your fans. And what ends up happening is the bigger your community get, the stronger we will get. So I think the biggest thing here is if we see a continued trend up of, okay, Murder House was 15 and now we beat 15 and we got bigger because of our community, that shows we're on the right path. And that just gives us the confidence. That's really what it is. Could we make a 5-10x budget movie? Potentially, yes, we really could. But why would we want to risk that when we don't have that floor being built up and it comes as a community? So this opportunity is the chance for our community to step up and say, yes, DBS Films is here to stay. This model is the way that it works. And more importantly, we're unstoppable because of this. Because I think the biggest thing with this model is if it is correct in what we are doing, in the sense that any movie we make would strip away all those random variables that we were kind of talking about earlier in the episode of, some people might not like the movie concept. This might not be for someone. Every movie that we make has the DBS army behind it. It means that it will ride the algorithm to success. That means we can make as many movies as we want, and we can make them about whatever we want. So that is the true power, in my opinion, of this model. If we get to decide what movies we want to make, we're making movies for our fans every single day that we possibly can.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it proves the model, and I'm willing to invest even more. I will do whatever it takes to, invest in this process. Like I said, the $3 that you guys rent and purchase this movie goes right back to the community. I don't take a dime. Kellen doesn't take a dime. We invest everything back because I'm not concerned about money. I'm concerned about making really cool movies. I'm concerned about growing this community, about growing our production, about growing our team. And we have a really cool company culture here. We want to continue to grow with that. I'm not going to take a dime from this. All this money goes right back into bigger and better movies, bigger and better things. And I just really think that, I believe in this, and this is what I want to do. And it's a grind. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of pressure. But, the end result of seeing, like I'm watching the final cut of Into the Forest right now, seeing the 20 plus actors that we had from the Discord that we cast that just needed a shot. They just wanted one shot to be in front of a camera, to be put on one of these platforms, to be streamed in front of millions of people, and they got it and they delivered. And it's such a beautiful movie. It's such a beautiful thing seeing people who've been told, no, you can't do this for your entire life, get in front of the camera and do just as good of a job as any other actor in Hollywood. And to produce such a really good movie, albeit it's a low budget movie, but it's a phenomenal movie. And I'm so proud of everyone who've worked with us. I'm so proud of every movie that we've made. And I just want to continue to do this. And a little bit of cash goes so far. We're not going to waste anything because we've come from nothing. I know exactly where every dollar needs to go to make these things as best and beautiful as they possibly can. And, I'm just asking for just a little bit of support here. Stand behind us. Let's get the DBS Army mobile. Let's get them ready to go. Because, we're going for the charts. We got Megan, we got The Menu, we've got Infinity Pool was just out there, Cocaine Bear, Knock on the Cabin. This is our competition. And, you probably could have made 1,000, maybe 10,000 shapeshifters for the price of some of these movies. So we're going to come and we're going to show them not only do we have a powerful army behind us, but we have a powerful product, and we are scrappy, we are fighters, and we are making the best of every single dollar. But in order to get there, we just need a little bit of help.
And I know the community is going to step up and deliver. And here's the thing, as we make our way up that chart, you don't think the other studios are watching? You don't think they see this? sooner or later they're going to notice and be like, why the hell is this, studio that I've never heard of cranking up the charts? What's going on here? Let's get together with them. Let's work together with them. And then right away, the budgets are open and unlocked. So there's a lot of positive variables that come from every time you have a launch, and you never know which one's going to go viral. And having our community step up to the plate with us to give us the support, it means the world to us. Because again, the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to in this model is sharing in the success. This is going to be a success. I don't know if it's going to take 1 year, 5 years, 10 years. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep on making movies. But every single time we get an opportunity to step up to the plate like this, and every single time the DBS Army supports us, like I know they're going to do, it just makes it so that we can share in the success a lot sooner than later. So I know we're going to be very thankful for this. Again, the Forest of Death is coming out in March 31st. We will be very excited for that. We got a lot of fun stuff going on in the Discord community to celebrate that launch. But it is something that if you want to be part of the action, be part of the success, share in all of the fun things that we're doing, take a look at that Discord app, download that, take a look at our community, because that is the place to be. But until then, have a good one.